Alright everybody, we are heading into the quarterfinals match here of Melvinfro versus Mishi. The winner of this is going on to face R22 in the semifinals. This is going to be a best of 7. And we are getting underway now. So Mishi just immediately knows exactly what he wants to run with here. Both players locking in very quickly. Knowing exactly the comps that they are interested in running here today. And over on the left side, Melvin, and in the top right, Mishi. Lots of similarities between these decks. The big difference here is that Melvin is opting for the wolf over the mole, so it's actually a very dynamic pick. I actually think the levels are okay on y'all's end, but I need to turn it up a little bit in my headset. I don't think this affects the stream at all, though. Let me know if the levels are okay. But yeah, so the moles allow Mishi to have more opportunities for timing attacks in the early to mid game, and whereas the wolf, I mean, I believe Melvin's army is just going to scale better in the late game with that wolf. I mean, just how that impacts the Falcons that are already pretty strong on their own. So getting them an extra buff is absolutely huge. I imagine we're going to see some macro games here today. I don't think either player really are the type to try to do attacks, and attacking generally in Tooth and Tail is not as strong of a strategy as getting into 2-base macro builds and kind of getting that death ball up and running, because Defender's Advantage is very strong, but not just Defender's Advantage, really also just terrain as well. So 8-farm double coming out from Mishi with a fast mill expand. Pretty much same thing for Melvin. I think there's a little bit of nuance in the exact build orders there, but won't matter too much. So Mishi coming in here for 3 farms, actually. Very greedy. Even sells off a Warren to get that additional economy. Let's see how... This is really smart. I doubt that Melvin is going to punish this at all. I mean, Mishi's going to come in and see Melvin is on 3 farms as well on that second base, so Mishi just getting up that second base economy a little bit faster. It's kind of a... It's really interesting because, you know, it takes a lot to actually attack, right? So this greed war, I think Mishi is winning a little bit. It seems very risky, but at the same time, he knows that Melvin is also going for second base. You know, if he saw no second base at all, or maybe just 1 farm or something, it'd be a little bit too risky. But seeing 3 farms of that first scout really allowed Mishi to just go crazy and just macro up as fast as possible. And look at this, 16 farms into the Badger. I don't think it could get any greedier than this. Melvinfro coming in, gonna scout the Badger. And get a Badger of their own. Okay, so this is just Greed Lord Tooth and Tail here. Even a third base coming out from Mishi. This is so funny. Now, late game, this map is actually kind of even. I feel like Melvinfro's got a nice 4 bases right here. This 4th base on the low ground's a little rough, but I mean, all this water in the middle is going to make for some interesting engagements. Like, retreating is going to be very difficult. I mean, retreating's already hard, and oftentimes not the right move to make in Tooth and Tail. Now, there is a difference between retreating and pulling back to not overextend. I guess what I mean by retreating is, you know, a lot of times it's better to stand your ground than it is to try to run away when the engagement's already going, because you just lose so many units on the retreat, and this water here is just going to make that even worse. So, double tier 3 on the way for Melvin. Did Mishi scout it? Did I even scout it? Where is that at? Oh yeah, it's right next to the other one. Nice and neat. So, 24 farms for Mishi already here. Building up into some Falcons, and Melvinfro looks like he's getting ready to attack. No, gonna pull back a little bit. So, did Melvin ever scout the 3rd base? He did, and he knows that Mishi is just totally Greed Lord on top of it. So how is Mishi going to scale his army in the late game? I mean, obviously the Falcons are the big key there. But let's see if he goes for an extra Badger or not. So Badger number 1 here, lots of falcons as well. God, Mishi, dude, this guy stonks, man. Going for base number 4. We haven't even hit the 5-minute marks, you guys. Mishi's on 24 farms before 5 minutes. Most of the games that I play at the 5-minute mark, I'm like scrapping with tier 2 and tier 1 against an opponent, making attacks I probably shouldn't be making. You know, maybe I've got a second base, but Mishi just 24 farms already. And Melvinfro is no slouch either. Looks like he's prioritizing getting the army tech out compared to the economy. I mean, he knows about the 24 farms for Mishi, so kind of curious why Melvinfro decided not to keep up that pace. Now, okay, now Mishi's slowing it down a little bit. Only half saturation on the 4th base. So, taking it a little bit easier. Alright, 16 Falcons in production for Mishi. Now, as far as starvation goes, I think that's what Mishi's got to at least, yeah, you're probably going to keep both these farms, to be honest, for starvation. 12 o'clock's also an option. A couple campfires out on the map, but they're very exposed, so Melvin's going to come in for a deep scout, try to get a feel for what the army comp is. But probably no big surprise here. I mean, it's really going to be scaling Falcons in the late game. And, again, it's odd to be that Melvin never committed to going up to 3 farm saturation. Maybe it feels like he doesn't need it. You know, maintaining it at the 16 farm economy is probably good. Now, the difference is that Melvin's income will last a little bit longer, as Mishi's 3rd base will begin to fallow out a bit faster. But honestly, I feel like Melvin is probably going to end up with the better late game army, right? Like, Melvin probably doesn't want to attack. I really don't think he should attack because Mishi's had the stronger economy for quite some time. So Mishi, in theory, should just have more stuff. So Melvin wants to wait a little bit, I believe, and continue to scale up. Now, this is going to be probably an anticlimactic game, as interesting as it seemed to watch everybody boom up so hard. It's really going to come down to that one attack, I believe. I mean, these armies are just such meat grinders. I really don't see the nuance of, like, oh, somebody wins, but not quite hard enough to steamroll. I think one side is just going to win it, and then that's going to be it. So this makes the players kind of hesitant to attack even at this point in the game because, you know, that's what we've been building up to, and if you make that wrong call, then that's it. Especially, you know, if there was no reason to move out in the first place. But we're getting to the point where it's going to happen sooner or later, and I think Mishi is got his power spike right now, but I think if the game continues to get a little bit longer, Melvin's going to catch up. Melvin's definitely being a little bit more conservative with the resources on his side of the map, and I'm glad that the map is actually pretty balanced as far as gristmill distribution for a macro game like this. So it's not going to come down to like, oh, well, one person had access to an extra mill that the other didn't, or something like that. So yeah, Mishi's had the better economy for quite some time, but I think Melvin is maybe playing the starvation game here. Because Melvin's obviously up to something. I mean, he understands that Mishi has had, you know, the higher economy for a while. Alright, now Mishi's going up to 5 Badgers. Dude, this is crazy. This is like the equivalent of a StarCraft money map, essentially. Like, they never attacked each other, now they're getting, like, maxed out armies. A little bit of lag here, but I don't think it's too bad. Players should be able to deal with it. And let's see, Mishi trying to get that north base. This north base is going to be the point of contention. But again, this is what Melvin's playing, the patient game here. If you notice, this is what I was talking about. You know, Mishi's almost out of income now. But generally, having that extra money faster is more important than a consistent income. If that makes sense. Like, Mishi's already gotten all the money out of this mill, so it doesn't really matter in that regard if his income's not great. And also because income is only really going to be a factor on rebuilding after engagements. But again, I highly doubt that's even going to matter this game. I think one army is just going to clobber the other one. I mean, it's hard to say which one's going to win until the fight happens, but 5 Badgers, 30 Falcons, and 18 Pigeons to support. With just a handful of squirrels for Mishi here, just to kind of soak the front lines. Meanwhile, Melvin building up to double wolf, 4 Badger, lots of Falcons in the air as well, and a few skunks on the ground in lieu of the squirrels. But is the Falcon difference gonna matter? Oh my gosh. I'm just waiting. I'm waiting for this army to happen. This army engagement. I think Melvin wants to wait. I think Mishi, the longer Mishi waits, the more Melvin catches up on, like, income mined. You know, resources extracted from the map. So Mishi's got his power spike right now. But again, it's hard to commit in. Ah, 5. Okay, Badger number 6 on the way. Alright, this is really huge for Mishi. And instead of directly attacking Melvin and risking the big engagement, Mishi is just threatening to maintain this northern base, and Melvin is not contesting this area. If Melvin just lets Mishi get that base, he will win in the long run just from having the extra mill. But here we go, the big engagement's finally happening, and Mishi seems to be pushing through so far. So many Falcons are going down from each side. The wolf buff, how much of a difference did it actually make here? Mishi just with double the Falcon numbers. Oh my god, but the armies are getting small from both sides. I think Mishi's still got enough gunners in the air. Oh my god. Okay, I was wrong. Maybe they aren't able to just kind of bust through. Look at that. Dude, that's so crazy. That trade was very close, actually. If you look at the graph, like, the difference in the bottom is still pretty close to the difference at the top, you know, in income, so. Wow, okay, you know, I was wrong. I figured the engagement would just be somebody wins it and steamrolls over, but no. They trade. Now, the thing is, Mishi's kind of rebuilding faster. And Melvin with no mining base anymore. Unless Melvin can win this engagement rate, look at all the Falcon reinforcements coming in for Mishi. So crazy. Melvin with the Badger micro of his life here. A couple Badgers left. Oh, that poor wolf just goes down immediately. And that wolf going down is where Melvin is going to call it. GG, game number 1 going to Mishi. A masterclass in a drawn-out macro game. Yeah, that was a good one. I figured the wolf would make more of a difference, but I guess Melvin's mistake there was really just trying to slow play the economy a bit. And when Mishi was able to just take over that northern mill and threaten, like, hey, we gotta fight now or else I literally have an entire crucible over here. And that was pretty much game. So, in the top, Melvinfro flexing into a fox this time around rather than wolf, and Mishi in the bottom with the same deck as in the previous game. Really strong deck, to be honest, coming out from Mishi here. So, this map I like a little better for Melvin. Melvin's 3 bases are a bit more put together. Meanwhile, Mishi, this third base, you know, this is kind of rough, how close these thirds are. I don't know if we're going to get to a third base game based on that, to be honest. You know, Mishi's probably looking at a 1 to 2 base game here, but Mishi is very good at... Oh, by the way, Melvin with a quick Warren does get scouted by Mishi, makes a Warren in response. Mishi is really good at kind of safely getting that second farm, or that second base economy up and running, though, so might just go for a 2 base play, but I don't think we're going to see just based on the geometry of this map, another long, drawn-out macro game like that. I like the Fox, though, from Melvin. I think that's smart. The Wolf really didn't matter too much last game. I don't think that means that the Wolf will never matter in those kinds of situations. It certainly does, but the problem was that Melvin tried to slow play the economy, and the game went long, but it didn't go ultra long to the point where that mattered. So Mishi was able to take the big fight while they'd already extracted more resources from the map and just had more army value. And even though they had a good trade, the thing is, when your army value is larger and we both trade pretty significantly, even if it, even if the advantage goes to the person with a smaller army, even if they kind of take the trade a little better, the follow-up attack is really what's critical there, because now that difference in army value matters more. Value differences are always less significant the more of anything is involved, right? So a 1200 army value versus 1000 is not that significant, but 300 versus 100 is huge, right? So far, nice macro opening from both sides. Nothing crazy going on just yet. Again, the big thing that I like here is the Fox. The Fox is a really smart move. I think the Fox is very strong against Mishi's entire deck. But look at this, Mishi's not messing around. I respond to Discord on the side real quick, and then before I know it, when I come back, Mishi's got a Mole Rush up and running. Is Melvin hip to this? I think he is now, certainly. But he's been building nothing but tier 1 here, so I think he does know, or he knew beforehand, I should say. Alright, is this gonna work? Mishi's just gonna target down the mill. Yeah, and that's the thing about the patch that we're currently on. Mills just have such low HP at the start, and then plus the extra crit from moles. The squirrel mole, hard target into the mill. It's very hard to actually deal with. So, nice attack there from Mishi. Mishi's got to be careful about the counter, though, from Melvin. Melvin's got some tempo here, as Mishi did have to sell those mole warrants. It just doesn't have as many units here. This could be pretty bad for Mishi. Melvin absolutely needs to kill this mill just to put the game, just to have a game. Like, Melvin doesn't win here if he gets the mill, he doesn't lose. So Melvin returned the favor, but this might be too much as Melvin continues to barge in. And again, this is why we see a lot of macro games, because attacking can oftentimes, lose you the game on the counterattack. Good defense here from Mishi, though. Is able to push Melvin back, but Melvin is significantly ahead. And Melvin realizes this, keeps the pressure on. So now Melvin has to skirt the line of not overextending versus trying to get this win from Mishi and tie things up. Is going to go ahead and take it back. Decides not to overextend and goes right into a Badger. Really cool decision here, because it's not what you generally intuitively expect. So Mishi's going to come in for the scout. Mishi's game plan is, okay, the attack was over, let's stabilize, let's get our economy going again. 5 minutes back up. Oh my god, Mishi doesn't, this is huge. Damn, dude, really smart play for Melvin, taking this mill here. Melvin really can't afford to be putting farms on this mill and get the Badger, but Mishi was satisfied with the scout when he came in and saw the mill. Because Mishi's thinking that Melvin is doing the same thing he is, trying to re-establish the economy. But in reality, Melvin is saving up for this big bad Badger, and Mishi still is none the wiser. So only seeing one farm there might make Mishi a little bit asking a few questions, but again, not enough. Mishi did not get the deep scout, did not see the Badger. Melvin already transitioning some squirrels into pigeons. Now this is a pretty big gambit from Melvin, especially now that the game's gone a little bit longer. Mishi pretty aggressively ecoed back up, and now Mishi's fine. Oh my god, are you serious? Oh, poor Mishi, man. But that's exactly what Melvin needed this game. I can't believe Mishi just barely missed that scout. And now is gonna see it and not be happy, especially because the Badger is literally up right now. And Mishi does not have any time to react. Melvin needs to march right across the map and end this game. If this doesn't work, then Mishi will for sure win with the better economy. And yeah, Mishi can't take this fight. He knows it. Taps out immediately. GG. Well played there by Melvinfro. And we have a series on our hand, 1-1. But I would argue that a lot of the advantage that Melvin got that game was based on the attack from Mishi. Alright, in the bottom, Melvinfro, and up top, Mishi. Same decks as last time. Oh, jeez, look at this map. We are in the wheat belt here. We're in the Midwest. This is the Iowa map of Tooth and Tail here. Jeez Louise. Holy moly, look at all these mills. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, including the starter mills. Absolutely insane. This is crazy. It's so interesting when there's like really important matches and the map RNG kinda like adds to the anime story pretty well, you know? Like, both of them have a lot of mill expansion potential. Both of them are starting on the low ground, which is awful, by the way. You do not want this at all. But honestly, this looks more favored for Mishi. If you kind of look at the geology of the map a little bit closer, you know, it's gonna be tough for Melvin to ever attack into the main. I mean, there is this attack path here, which is okay, but this nice line of trees here and ledges, you know, protects that area where Melvin's a lot more open. This is gonna be a lot easier for Mishi to come in. Additionally, Melvin's got this mill right here, but additional mills will be a little more challenging. I guess maybe this would be the third base. This map's just so open. I mean, there's a lot of potential for backstabbing just everywhere. And managing multiple bases is going to be difficult because they are going to naturally kind of get spread out. Mishi looking to move out a little bit. Needs to be careful with the commander. Okay, I was worried with how the squirrels got rallied. I'm going to push back, so we might actually see a little bit more of a scrappy early game here, with players getting into some skunks. And yeah, we might see one base aggression, no second base yet from either side. Again, this map is really like counterintuitive, because at first glance you look at this and you're just like, you know, Cash Money City, you know, there's mills everywhere, but these mills are kind of hard to take for either side. And the main base is just so attackable. I mean, look at this. Just so, you just want to attack that, don't you? Mishi sure does, as he's building up some skunks, getting into some falcons, and we are going to see some one-base wars here. Melvin, though, moving out, and Mishi not in position, going to back up, doesn't lose anything just yet. Falcons, or any aerial unit, very smart pick on this map. You really don't want to be stuck on your low main base without any high ground vision. And it could happen pretty easily. Double skunk coming out for Mishi. So we are building up to some one base attacks yet, but neither side is really committing to move out. As I say that, Mishi rallies, but let's see. Would be kind of odd to build the skunk warren and then attack, unless Mishi really feels like it's just now's the time. Probably wants to at least pay for that fourth skunk before moving in. Let's see. Now Mishi's got the moles, which are absolutely huge. in fights like this. Doesn't actually build any yet. Just gonna harass onto the low ground. Gets a lot done before this fight begins. One Falcon goes down for Mishi, but the siege continues. A Warren falls for Melvin. Mishi trying to skirt the line of not overextending, but also staying aggressive, and decides to pull back, really trying to keep the skunks alive. An overall good attack for Mishi. This is one of those situations where generally attacking is hard in this game. The skunks are one of the best at it just because the pre-gassing is just so strong. Like, skunk kind of serves the purpose of a ferret in a way, of just being able to kind of siege outside of direct engagements. Yeah, look at all that gas going down. Really, really good clouds here for Mishi. The 4 skunks, just so much to chew through, but Melvin is starting to chew through them as one does go down. 5-minute mark is almost here, by the way. So losing these tier 1 over and over to skunk gas for either side is going to become a big tax. You know, all of a sudden having to replace these 20 food units are going to be pretty difficult when your economy goes down to 4 farms. It gets even less and less. What's up? A lot of people in the chat today. Good to see everybody. Jason, Sasha, Kerpa, Olive. What's going on, y'all? Zard. Tosh. Oh, man, we should cast together sometime, Tosh. It's been a while. It'll be fun. Alright, the Badger is here for Melvin. I didn't even realize the Badger was on the way. And Mishi didn't either. Man, I can't believe I missed that Badger. Wow, I wasn't paying close attention. Sorry, guys, but dang. That Badger came out, and then Mishi just immediately surrendered. I have no idea how players are able to do that, man. Every time I try to get a tier 3 in situations like that, I just get ran over. But Melvin was able to cut those corners and get that Badger Warren. And the map with 11 mills on it is a one-base game. Looks like Mishi might want to restart his system or something like that. Just left the lobby for a minute, so... Yeah, thanks everybody for tuning in again, and right now it looks like the semifinals are going to be Tatanka versus Sasha, which is going to be an amazing match. Sasha absolutely on fire this season, by the way. I think Sasha's been a top-tier player for a very long time, and I would love to see them get the big win, because they've definitely been putting the work in and just haven't quite been able to get the trophy. Looks like the closest that they've came was place number 3, looking at the Hall of Champions here. So they did get a 3rd place. Won the intermediate division when they're under a different screen name. So they've come close. But Sasha's definitely probably hungry for an actual victory here. Meanwhile, Tatanka has taken plenty of championships, so has Mishi. Melvinfro, I think Melvin's won before. He's had to have won before. I think he won... Man, has Melvin actually not won? Yeah, I guess not. He's come in 2nd place. What am I thinking? He's won some tournaments before. I wish I had kept better logs of like all the different events. But I know Melvin's won some stuff as well. And then R22, yeah, R22 is kind of the dark horse. Like, R22 was looking really strong this season as well, and really, like, hasn't placed in the top of, like, any tournament or anything, so... I think the underdog story this season for sure is either... Is R22 kind of dark horsing it, or Sasha finally getting the win that they deserve for being a high-level player and trying hard for so long. On the right side, we got Melvinfro, and on the left side, Mishi. Mishi changing things up a good bit here. With the snake lizard. Kind of interesting tactics. Alright, Mishi with the old mole rush. Getting down and dirty. There it is. Melvin sees it plain as day. See, this pig gets up in time, doesn't it? Oh my god. No, okay, Melvin doesn't think so. It's just like a second of a difference. Nice little thwart there. And a quick warner from both sides. Alright, we gotta let this game cook a little bit. We'll let it simmer as the builds come to fruition. This looks like more of a map you would kind of expect to see. I mean, both sides have nice 2 base. Actually, again, it's kind of crazy, like, the map RNG. I mean, look at this. Like, ignore the top stuff, but, like, look how mirrored this is, right? Like, both sides on high ground. Both sides with expansions that are away from their opponents. And both sides with very difficult to actually attack into bases. I mean, you'd have to come all the way around here. You really can't attack into the main. You have to attack into both sides of the main and the natural. And you got to kind of come through the mountains to attack. You know, trying to attack through this way would be a fool's errand, unless, of course, you're going to do some cliff abuse with the Falcon, which looks like is exactly what Mishi's going to go for here. Let's see. I'm waiting on those Falcons for Mishi. Oh, this is gonna feel so bad. Falcons on the way for Melvin. Both sides just kind of macroing up right now. Getting a few farms on that second base. And here we go. Mishi gonna look to do the cliff abuse tricks here. Gonna back it up with some moles, so maybe gonna plan on keeping the aggression up. Don't need to actually get to the ramp if you could just shoot from the low ground. And the only high ground, low ground advantage in this game is just vision. So Melvin in a good spot to defend this. A farm gets deleted immediately from the Falcons. However, this is pretty minimal damage. Falcon gets gat there from Mishi. Good defense from Melvin. I mean, loses a pig, but other than that, pretty solid. And Mishi is going to go into a tier 3 from here. And full second base economy. Meanwhile, Melvin being a little bit more middle of the road. This is an important scout for Melvin. Mishi is being so greedy. Full second base, but again, since Melvin saw that, probably not thinking that a tier 3 is also on the way. Or maybe he is. Maybe it's just, I mean, I guess it makes sense, right? You're boosting your economy up enough to support this. So Melvin's going to come home, do the exact same thing. Gets maxed second base economy and throw down his tier 3 of choice. Now, Mishi's seen Badgers every single game. That's why Mishi has brought the snakes this time around. And another little attack here from Mishi. Melvin does see the units being rallied. Melvin was scouting Mishi's base. And gonna get a pig, maybe 2. Nope. Gonna lose the Falcon. Nope. Okay. Great defense here for Melvin on this cliff abuse. But the wolf is almost out. I think Mishi's putting together a pretty strong army. Here come the lizards. I love the lizards in this situation, by the way. I think the lizards are going to do great against all the units that Melvinfro's got here. Zoomy boy. More cliff abuse. from Mishi coming out. Melvin is ready for it. Might still lose a pig. Nope. And the Badger is mere seconds away from spawning. How are we looking on the value charts here? Mishi a little bit ahead on income and on army. Alright, Melvin's units are here, and that's a strong comp that Melvin's got. The onus is really on Mishi to get the snake tags on the Badger and let Mishi's tier 1 kind of clean everything up. But Mishi not looking to move out immediately. Both players looking to get into 3 bases. Interesting third base choice here from Mishi. I kind of would have expected more of this and then plant your army like here, maybe? A little bit of lag, but I think we'll get through it. I'm just glad that the lag is like, you know, stop the game for a second every now and then rather than actually being slow to play, you know. So it's a lot more bearable this way. Almost 30 lizards here from Mishi. And again, I think the lizards are the perfect unit for what Melvin is bringing to the table here. When are we going to get the big attack is the question. We're getting into that deathball army stage where neither side really feels like they have enough of an advantage to move in. So will we go into 4 bases? 6 snakes on the way here from Mishi. Who's gonna do it? Who's gonna pull the trigger? We're just kind of waiting to see. And it might not be for a while. There's still more mills available. A fox would be cool, but this is a very anti-fox deck that Mishi's got. The wolf buff really makes it hard to do some esports with the fox. That's really the big advantage of the fox is the speed. So with the lizards, with the movement buff, yeah, look how fast those lizards are. They would just eat a fox for breakfast. Alright, army's on top of the mountain here. And is Melvin gonna try to get into a 4th base as well? The Falcon count is starting to rise here. Just a very consistent army lead from Mishi all game long. I think Melvin is catching up and kind of extracted resources, but yeah, the 4th base, just Mishi is not afraid to macro. Throwing farms down is Mishi's favorite thing to do in this game. And it's kind of interesting to see how much of a tier 1 army we have here from both sides. A lot of times when you get to later games like this, you'll see that tier 1 get transitioned out of into more Falcons, into more Badgers, whatever it is, but I think Melvin has to maintain a certain amount of tier 1 simply for the fact that Mishi is. Because if you have a lot of cool juicy units but you just got nothing on the ground to tank, it's going to get tough. And Melvin is going to throw out a fox again. I don't think it's the right play, as much of a fan of the fox as I am. Because again, I mean, the Vroomy snakes, the lizards, these are all units where your fox is just not going to be able to get value against. I think it'd be better for Melvin to get into more badgers, maybe, or more falcons? I don't know, it's kind of tough. You probably don't want more badgers because of all the snakes. The falcons are fine against snakes. I think falcons actually beat snakes when we're in large unit or large numbers. Just because of the burst. Like, yeah, you can poison the falcons, but the falcons will burst you down. Now, the thing about snakes is they are deceptively tanky. They've got like 30 HP. I mean, that's a lot. That's a lot of HP. What was that? Oh, moles. I was gonna say, I missed. Oh man, I completely missed this down here. Is she trying to figure something out? Let her do like a mole kamikaze into the bill. That's funny. I mean, interesting tactic there. Didn't quite work out. So, I love the idea of the fox here. Just try to get some value, you know, and really punish this game being drawn out. It actually does get some really good hits. A couple falcons going down. Melvin lost a good amount of warrants, by the way, that mole hit. Kind of disappointed I missed that. Gosh, and Mishi just going so crazy with the lizards. Oh, the lag. Lag's not too bad. I actually wish foxes did not attack commanders. I guess it's part of the micro, but it really messes you up. Okay, with all the pigeons here, getting a stack of poison is not the end of the world. Alright, Mishi's just gonna go for it. There's so many lizards on the ground here. And with all the tier 1 warrants, Mishi will be able to rebuild pretty quickly. Is he winning the fight, though? It looks like he is. Somehow this fox is still alive, by the way, in the back. I can't believe this fox lived through that engagement. It's going to die to the poison. Oh my god. Melvin pushing Mishi back, but I think the big strength of this army from Mishi is going to be the second wave. Oh my god. Melvin cleaning up house. Yeah, Mishi's kind of throwing units away now. That was very good for Melvinfro. God, I can't believe that fox almost lived through the whole thing. So now we're playing the game of selling down all the warrants that we no longer need. Mishi gonna commit to a second wolf. $40 lizards. Max supply here from Mishi. Yeah, that badger really put in work too. The fact the badger lived is huge, especially since Mishi's moles took down that warren. And now Mishi is trying to be a jerk with these lizards, run into the base, kill some warrens, but they're all going down to the skunk cats. When you get 4 skunks with some healing, man, that's so much good potential. Tanking potential there, and the lizards just can't hold up. They're all dying in the gas. Base does go down, though. Mishi being a little bit chaotic with these attacks. Gets some value, but is it enough? Melvin, on the backswing here, will be able to take out this base, and I think this is another win here for Melvinfro. Let's see, if this base goes down, Mishi's on starvation. Mishi trying to, scrounge up whatever units that he can. I think this mass lizard strategy just really didn't work out this game. The skunks with the pigeons were just too much for the lizards. And GG, Melvin! Going up to 3-1. Melvin on match point here. Mishi needs to start turning this series around. This could be the last game. I think Mishi needs to calm down, go back to the strategy he was enacting in the first few matches here. I think that squirrel, mole, pigeon, skunk, falcon, badger comp is super solid, super robust. But the fox is just such a good tech, though, against that. I think that's what's making Mishi scratch his head a little bit. This tech from Melvin is great. I mean, the only thing that it's missing is moles. Yeah, and Mishi is trying to get clever here. Thinking about different styles to go against what Melvin is doing. I think a fox of his own would be good. I like what he's building right here, but what I'm getting a little bit worried about is I feel like Mishi is freestyling with his composition. And if there's anybody who's good enough at the game to do this kind of thing, it's definitely Mishi. I mean, I think he needs his own fox. Or balloon, okay. Or balloon. At the top, we've got Melvinfro. And over on the left side, Mishi really needing a win here. And it looks like some lag issue or something like that. Mishi having to reset the game. Unfortunate, because that map, I didn't get to look at it for very long, but that map actually looked really cool. So Mishi looks like he's trying to restart his game again. A little bit of technical issue on his side here, no problem. Melvin on fire today. And I love this composition from Melvin. I think it's really super solid. Yeah. So Mishi dealing with the red plug issue, so maybe just needs a restart. Talking to him a little bit on the sidelines. I think we'll be good. Just needs to maybe restart the PC or something like that. Should be good to go. Yeah, that map looks cool. I don't think it matters enough to like try to get the map seed or anything like that. Yeah, Mishi just lagged out there. I was chatting with him on Discord, so should be coming back. So thanks everybody for tuning in. It's always super fun. Here's Mishi again. See a lot of old names too. It's always cool. I know I don't stream very often, but it's interesting to see everybody come out and check out some Tooth and Tail on the weekend. Alright, Mishi going for the same deck. Or similar, nonetheless. Same kind of concept here. Wants to do this owl balloon thing. And no lag this time around. In the bottom, Mishi. And up top, Melvin. Yeah, it was kind of weird. Mishi messaged me because he got the red plug countdown. It was stuck in the game. Although it looked like to us, Mishi just like immediately left. So is this map going to work out for this balloon thing? Maybe. It's very, very open. But Mishi could also kind of creep up and try to box Melvin in on two bases with balloons. And 5-farm Morin from Melvin, trying to keep things a little dicey. Mishi can respond with the 6-farm Morin and ends up a little bit ahead out of these builds. And I think that a lizard has potential to get a farm kill, but I think squirrels are just too slow. So yeah, even if that squirrel immediately moved across the map, it would not get here in time. Mishi not really respecting the rush though, understanding it's just more of a feint, because Mishi did supply block building the extra squirrels by queuing farms. Both players trying to balance, keeping an eye on what the other is doing in the early game, and also scouting the whole map. And yeah, I mean, Mishi's kind of on a gambit here. I mean, he knows this is the tournament life is on the line. This is match point for Melvin. It brings out kind of a wonky deck here. So maybe this isn't unrehearsed. Maybe this is you know, an ace up Mishi's sleeve on just a different style to play. But I mean, Melvin is just like that is such a solid deck. I think you could argue the Fox and the Mole. But I think for what Melvin's seen, the Fox makes more sense. And Melvin's not trying to be an aggressor or anything, and that's where moles really come into handy. So Melvin's just wanting to play like a standard game, macro up a little bit, get the army together. And I think if that happens, Melvin will end up with a better comp. Owl Falcon can be pretty strong, but you need a lot of resources. You need multiple owls. And even then, like Badger, Skunk, Pigeon can deal with like pretty much infinite mice. One thing Mishi does have going for him, though, is looks like getting the farms up a little bit faster. Mishi is generally probably the best at that, really being greedy on second base economy, but responsible greed. You know, not leaving himself open to just get run over by aggression. So what's going to be the move? I mean, the map doesn't look like the balloons are really going to be abusable. "16 farms from both sides, or at least pretty soon for Melvin." Alright, we're just going to continue to power up on the Mishi camp. Let's see what Melvin decides to do. Maybe throw down the Badger. Start paying for some tier 3s. Mishi gets a nice scout there, doesn't see anything yet. And maybe we see tier 3 go down here. There it is from Melvin. Mishi, being, on the other hand, just going for more and more farms. Should see the Badger. Yep, sees the Badger. But what's the response? Snakes? I mean, you can't go toe-to-toe with the tier 3. The Owl's not going to win. Double snakes coming down. But the problem is Mishi doesn't have a lot for the supporting units. You know, no skunks here to deal with all the tier 1. You know, this just like big 2-base tier 1 Badger mix of Melvin is gonna hit like a truck. And I feel like Mishi is building a lot of units that are gonna deal with the Badger, but doesn't really have anything to deal with, you know, this 24 squirrels. And Melvin looking to actually attack before the Badger moves out to catch Mishi off guard. It's coming in. Mishi trying to get snake tags here. Melvin targeting these snakes down, though. And just so many squirrels coming out here from Melvinfro. Mishi on his hind legs here. The base goes down, and I think... Oh, well, that was the third base, to be fair. Can Mishi hold this off? Or is Melvinfro going to the semifinals? Melvin's going to pull back for now. Gets a ton of damage done. Mishi trying to take advantage of this retreat. Trying to get as much, you know, damage done on the back end as possible. The Badger is here, though, and Mishi wants to poison this thing down and just can't get the snakes deep enough there. Gonna back up. Mishi's taking some punches, but is not down yet. I mean, it's all the squirrels. Like, I think Mishi overreacted to the Badger. And just does, like, imagine if those 4 falcons were 4 skunks. That's really what he needs. And Melvin, with some great fights there. Keep in mind, Mishi did have that extra income off that third base for a little bit. But I mean, it's all the squirrels that I'm worried about here. And so is Mishi. He's trying to build some moles. Melvin's actually going to back off for now. And Mishi's just ready to kind of bracing for the impact here, but it doesn't come as Melvin just kind of scoots back, gets his own skunks. And this game is still happening. I think Mishi just needs tier 1, but the skunks, like, I mean, Melvin's army comp is just better. Mishi's gonna try to get a balloon down. And Melvinfro, look at this army. Coming across the map. Mishi trying to build a balloon, but this does not look like it's going to bode well for Mishi. Melvinfro slamming into the second and third base here of his opponent, looking to advance to the semifinals here. Mishi holding on for dear life. Mishi's tier 2 is still here, getting some stacks of poison on the Badger, but it does not look like it's going to be enough as Mishi taps out and Melvinfro takes it 4-1, advancing to the semifinals.